Hi. Okay, so I don't quite know what to do with this yet, so we're just gonna put it here for now because it might be part of a series. I don't really think that karma can ever truly be, well, I haven't seen karma really deeply talked about. It has transversal meaning, in my opinion. Well, hi, hello, and welcome. Soul Purpose Saturday, I suppose. Brought to you by Vertex of Abundance. My name is Serene Priestess of Losi. I'll be your oracle today. I'm just going to transmit a sermon. We're going to channel it here. Karma is a governing concept. In the New World, it's transposed from the sacred world, the ancient world, as pretty much the result of actions, words, and deeds. Well, thought, words, and deeds. It is a result. Now, me, Ablosi, in my teachings, I like to put the baseline for karma as the conveyor belt. Time is the conveyor belt through which karma is anchored into the physical. So what is karma? Karma is an imprint from a grasp of the God. So that's a little bit convoluted. When we're beginning to understand karma, that actually helps when you understand astrology. But time is the conveyor belt through which karma is anchored into the physical, okay? So if you are at the same vibration that you were when you had that action or that thought, okay, or that speech, that word, then you can receive that karma, okay? Karma is actually to purify because karma can create austerity. Normally it does. Now, austerity is not suffering. Austerity is just something that is below the condition that you want your life to be. Now, austerity is when you struggle. But see, struggling is not the same as suffering, it's not the same as experiencing pain. So before we go too far on, let's just fully develop the initial concept and idea of karma. Karma is a boomerang, yes, but karma also is a wrong. It could be a wrong between a person, place, or thing. It could be an imprint that you left in an environment, surrounding, and location, and then if you're at the same vibration, that karma can come back to you. So in that sense, karma is a boomerang. Because they always say, karma is the B word. Yeah, karma will do a better job at punishing or judging somebody than the actual person who received that harm, received that wound, sustained that experience with that person, place, or thing in which that karma happened. So we think of karma as actions, but actions is also inaction. Okay? So if you see something, you witness something, and you don't stand up. So we're thinking of karma as in like laws sometimes. But there's two sets of laws, just like there's two sets of the tax code, right? The rich and the poor, they can use the tax code differently. Well, spiritual people actually subscribe to the divine law, which is universal harmonic order, the universal laws. And then there's also the laws of the society that you're in, human law, basically law and order, or justice. As you would. Justice and judgment are not the same. Judgment is epic, biblical. Justice is told, okay? Told as in like measured out, measured, okay? So going back to karma just one more time. Karma is I really want to say initially, karma is a balancing, a reconciliation function in this consciousness experience. But karma exists on many levels in the next couple of worlds as well. It's a reconciliation point because karma can be purified into dharma. So dharma is positive karma, or karma is what you go through, dharma is what you receive from said karma. So karma is not necessarily a bad thing, a negative thing. It's simply a portal through which one enters into or leaves out of the shadow functions of our consciousness experience. Consciousness experience, just really quickly, is made up of two things, which equals a third thing. So 1 + 1 = 3 in terms of consciousness experience. So 1 + 1 = 4 if you can also add in judgment. And then when you work backwards, you can really understand karma. So consciousness experience is made up of thoughts and feelings. Okay. So thoughts is how you process your ideas, and feelings are how you process your emotions. So emotion is energy and motion. Ideas happen in the present. They're literally a stimuli, a reflex. Okay. So literally, if you're operating at a frequency energy vibration, it may be subconscious, even let's use the word reflexive. Okay, so that's karma, because dharma is when you're actively aware of your karmas and you rise above that frequency energy vibration. Doesn't mean you don't go through that karma, doesn't mean that you don't deal with that karma. It means that you operate at a vibration above it so that karma gets purified. It's only karma. Karma's only a B is if you get what you had coming to you. But see, if you confront your karma, what's called expedite your karma, actually what happens is you grow through what you go through. So it's used as a stepping stone. So in that sense, again, when we come back around to it, karma isn't bad. Okay. Now sometimes karma comes to you and it's not something that you did. Okay. Or sometimes you're involved in somebody else's karma, meaning you're operating as a function in the environment for them to have their conscious growth consciousness experience. Okay. So you might have harmed somebody and then somewhere down the road, somebody else comes and harms you back. Example. So you may be that function for somebody else, for them to receive the karmic lever. Does that make sense? So again, you can only receive karma at the same mind frame, the same frequency, energy, vibration in which you got it. So then we go to cause and effect, which is more in alignment with Buddhism, okay? But Buddhism is a great way for becoming conscious in the mind. And in Vudun, Buddha is Legba, Mercury, okay? So the Buddha is really Mercury, which is really actually the highest aspect that human consciousness can achieve. And then in Vudun, it's Legba. So Legba and Vudun and Orisha is the same. And Orisha, Santeria, Condumble, Palo, Ifa, Vudun, they're really just, New Orleans, Haitian, they're really just different nations, different houses or different families. Okay. Radha being the really super clean, the really golden way, the peaceful kind. Petro being, it's really the difference between hot and cold, and then you add in the slavery, syncretism, and the new world, or the dirtiness. When you get into Congo, you mix it with slavery. When you get into Santeria, it's just degraded. And it doesn't necessarily mean it's bad, but when you get into Santeria, you're also much more in the physical. Most of the work centers around some physical function as well. And oftentimes it's out of the new world, not the ancient world. Now, I'm going to say to you like this. I just named 4 levels of indigenous practice. It's not about being better than or less than. When I say higher vibration, lower vibration, it doesn't necessarily mean better than or less than. It does mean proximate cause or proximate location, as in an address in a dimension. Okay. So think of let's frame this now. Let's use that scaffolding that we just put up with karma. Sometimes you're consciously aware of your karma. You might be malignant or toxic when you're acting upon others. A narcissist always gets taken down eventually, usually by a genuinely authentic and sincere person. Because they're above that karma. And it doesn't stick on them. It might touch them, but it rolls off like Teflon. Okay, so that would also be like one version, the clean version. And listen to clean and dirty. I'm saying this for a reason. Listen to high and low vibration. I'm saying this for a reason. Oftentimes, if you have karmic experiences right now and you haven't purified into your healing, your dharmic experiences, which still means you're going through karma, but you're operating above the vibration, like an overstanding of your karma, not an understanding or understanding of your karma. Okay? So I was using the word Radha for clean or golden. Okay, it means things are rolling off you like Teflon. And when they don't, you confront your karma, or you confront this experience in your life with the teachings of whatever you're going through, usually the Wudun. It's basically showing up to your life, being present, participating, taking an active accountability and responsibility for what your experience is. Even if you're not the one that put that dirt on your path, you're the one responsible for cleaning off your path. So again, this dirt that I'm talking about is not always saying like bad. Because it's like most, especially if you're in the US, usually you start out a class with an A and you have to keep that A. You need to keep your merit. Does that make sense? You need to not end with a demerit. Okay? So then we go a step down into Petro, and I don't want to compare it in the sense of bad or good, although we can make moral judgments versus value judgment. So a moral judgment is saying that's wrong, that's bad. A value judgment is saying that doesn't work for me, that doesn't resonate with me, it doesn't align with me. Okay, so when we're talking about the Petro, it doesn't align because usually it's more offensive and not defensive. You're actively going after, or you're hot, meaning it's agitated, it's explosive, it's caustic. Okay, so that would be, now let me reframe it again, and I don't want to, well, I'm doing it, so let's run with it. It's interesting that this channel is bringing out, comparing the different indigenous practice houses or families or nations, it's interchangeable, to levels of karma or levels of awareness around karma, or soulmate relationship. So we have the 4 really levels of the soulmate relationship. It's the same thing. We could really delineate karma here very easily. I'm going to start with dharma. So you meet a person who is a soulmate, which means you have karma with them, period. If a person's a soulmate, you have karma with them because you're operating at the same frequency vibration. It could be the blood inside your body. If that's a liquid blood, it means it vibrates, it has a vibration. So think about it. You initially meet a soulmate and you have a catalytic event. So you initially meet somebody you have karma with and you have a catalytic event. This effect, this caustic agent. And then you could choose to either heal dharma or you can choose to fall into lower vibration karma with them. So then they either become, from that soulmate that soulmate evolves into a catalytic partner, which either devolves into a karmic partnership or evolves into a twin flame. Okay, so it's the same thing. Because most people, when they find out about their power, when they find out about their witchcraft, when they find out about whatever mancy is in them, whatever little bit of charisma, spiritual gift is in them, or when they find a little bit of a tactic, a tool, a technique, we can use interchangeable ideas here. They can choose to either clean that off and live really benevolently, really dharmically, righteously and in truth, in alignment with a spirit, karma, life, path, destiny, a purpose here, or they can begin to use those powers for bad. Okay, so I want to start talking about the cleanliness here, because then now we have to talk about Congo and Santeria or Santero. Okay, so it's not bad, it's just different, and it might not work for you. There are several people that really love Santeria and it works really well for them, and I love them and I really appreciate the way they live their life. It's a life of devotion to me. But that's a rarer thing because you usually see Santeria and it can be very dirty. So it's not always like that, and I don't want to say that because it might not be how you live your life, okay? But there's a rule and there's an exception to the rule. So when we get past a certain level of karma, it's no longer dharmic. When we get past a certain house, it's no longer clean. So let's talk about what clean is inside, and I'm going to give you the perfect example. Everybody who loves Orisha, Vodun, they love that spirit, Ayila Wedo or Yemaya or whatever. Yemaya and Ayila Wedo are pretty interchangeable, but not entirely. There's other spirits that can come out when you think you have Yemaya, one tradition, and you go to a tradition that's cleaner, and it's more delineated, meaning it gives you a lot more emphasis, it gives you a lot more clarity. So let's just talk about witches for a moment. They're spirit witches, they're traditional witches, which are lineage witches, okay? And they show up to like divination. They show up to like a naming ceremony. And what'll happen is they'll find out that they've been working with certain spirits, demon spirits or dirtier spirits, and that they'll be magician basically because they're doing work, making agreements with a certain entity. And then they'll come to Vodun, for instance, or the Orisha, Vodun, and which means source energy. It means the source of creation. So that's basically the birthplace of your actions, the birthplace of your thoughts, the birthplace, okay, of these words, okay, Vudun, source. And they'll find out that they're high priestess of some kind, meaning born with something, born in their blood with the frequency. High priestess is the number 2, it's the moon, which means vibration, energy. Okay, so if you might be born with a certain spirit that won't work with you because you've been out there messing with other spirits that you weren't born with, and they're dirtier than the spirit that you have. Does that make sense? So now you see this delineation of the houses. You have like the Rada, the Petro, okay, or what we call the hot and the cold. One's more aggressive, agitated. The other one's more peaceful and calm and cool. Okay, so think about energy that's either attracting or repelling. So now let's go back to these twin flame soulmate relationships. If you suppress and repress so much alive in you that you project onto others, what's going to happen? You're going to attract a partner that reflects back to you enough for you to either devolve or evolve. So if you're pretty toxic, you're going to attract a toxic partner, and you won't think, oh, I'm not a toxic person. Probably not. But there is something alive in you, probably an inability to stand in your self-worth and value, so much so that you lack strength, courage, and wisdom, and you attract karma to you because you're not evolving enough. So let me just reframe it again, because some of these examples are going to agitate you, and it should. But if it agitates you, it means there's more truth to it than you might be ready. And so this is another function of karma. Karma will keep you somewhere until you're ready to evolve past that point, and usually it involves taking responsibility, at least for the experience or the condition of your life at which you met that circumstance. You might have harmed somebody accidentally. You might have just been ignorant and not toxic and malignant. And if you don't take responsibility for that ignorance, then you will become malignant and toxic. Are you starting to hear some of this like karmic mediation? So generally it's called expediting your karma, which just means confronting it. Hey, this BS, this ugly situation is going on in my life. It's like the just listen, the no a-hole rule. First it's like, oh, F, this situation is going on. Oh, C, crap, I'm gonna have to deal with it. Oh, well, okay, I guess I'm gonna have to confront this now. And oh geez, it's gonna be rather difficult. It's the same with karma. It's the same with dharma. It's the same with the karmic relationships. You have this repress and suppression that you're projecting onto others. And so you start to attract those types of people to mirror back to you. And then if you're chasing and looking for something outside of yourself, not taking responsibility for this karmic situation, this karmic experience, you're going to accept something into your life that's either going to force you to evolve above it or going to make you devolve, so that you're forced to confront something. Because usually austerity is what cleanses. Austerity is what will make you clean up. Okay, so again, there's a difference between pain, there's a difference between suffering, there's a difference between struggle. Austerity is struggle. So if you find that you've let something into your life, if you find that you've attracted something with karma, you've let something into your life with a partner, and it's not in alignment with your ascending life condition, your ascendant vibration, it's actually making you descend, go to a lower life condition, what's going to happen? Well, if you tolerate, accept, or even internalize that lower life condition, you're going to have more austerity until you break free. Okay? Normally, it'll happen when you cry out to God. You're crying out to some principle, attribute, archetype of righteousness, truth, divinity. Now, it may happen in different ways. You have a release, you go on no contact. If this person is malignant, you may be the malignant person, which means you're never going to figure out that you're at a descending vibration until you realize that there's no support. So that's a different thing, because there's going to be, if you're having a weird kind of Saturn cycle, it can free some of the support that you're having. Okay, so this is karma. Now let's talk about this dirt. You're going to walk down a path in your life. If you're in the new world, we know about astrology, we know about the rising sign, that's your spirit, karma, life path, destiny. Okay, we also know about your north node. That's your life path, just generally your life path. You know about your midheaven, which is your approach towards the world. Okay? So if you're going towards an approach, you're walking down a path that is in alignment with you, or you're walking down a path and you're trying to take people that aren't at your vibration, that aren't at your same life condition with you, what'll happen is dirt will get on your path. Okay, so we get to say that the dirt is on you because also you can become unclean inside. I'm so sorry to say this, but if you're eating a lot of pork, if you're eating a lot of shellfish, it can really dirty you up. Unless you're a demon child who has permission to eat those types of things. Because what will happen is it'll take your golden hue and it'll make it red. It'll take your blue, your indigo, your violet hue and it'll make it red. Okay, so that's also karma. Because the other beings that operate at that hue, at that vibration, at that color are maybe not so bueno. You might have been born with Aida Wedo. You might have been born with another spirit, Yamaya, that doesn't operate at that frequency energy vibration. They're at a different hue. So karma is going to create these circumstances so that you say, okay, this is austerity. This is suffering. What do I need? How can I look towards a higher life condition, a higher vibration? Okay. Also, how can I clean this up? Again, it brings us back to taking responsibility. Accountability really is self-accountability even. Responsibility could just be saying, okay, this is happening. I'm going to figure out a way, even if I didn't do it, even if it's not my fault. I'm going to clean it up. That brings up generational karma. Okay. Again, why do we have generational karma? Because you have the same blood as your ancestors, and you may be inheriting this pain or inheriting this circumstance because you're operating at the same frequency, energy, vibration. What is a vibration? A vibration is a fluid energy. Well, isn't blood a fluid? You starting to hear some of these things? So I don't know what we're doing with this sermon yet because it seems to be part of a series, but I don't understand fully my intuition, but I do feel like I fully fleshed out what I was going to say today. This is an interesting take on karma, isn't it? And if you practice Santeria and you are a devout person who goes around saving souls, I have nothing against you. A lot of Santeros come over to the West African side and they learn that they've been doing things a funny way for some decades. I've heard it, I've seen it, okay? So I'm not saying anything because if it works for you, it works for you. This is not a shaming function. This is not a shaming mechanism. It's saying that sometimes if you have a Santeria altar and then you go to the voodoo will not accept your Santeria altar. Sometimes if you're operating malignantly, toxically, and you develop your friends at that vibration, and then you become very dharmic, you become very righteous, you become very clean, you become very pure, some of those friends will not tolerate your life. Does that make sense? They'll be like, who do you think you are? Butterfly? Why can't you be a caterpillar like you were before? Well, hey, buddy, because I have wings. My email is in the show notes. I came back to say that it's really not my intention to trash talk other houses. I need you to know that. I'm sure I'll get a few thumbs down and you can't please everybody, XYZ, LMP. I also want to say I'm going to put a link to another karma video in the show notes along with my email address. Thank you. Peace be with you. Peace be upon you.